All right, we've loaded up another tournament here, and we're gonna see what we can do with it. 10-5, he raises, we fold, and next hand. There's got to be a faster way to do that. I'm sure there's better root players in this too. Jack 7, raise, he folds. All right, next hand. That's one thing. Last hand we had a lot of flops. There wasn't anything to, not a lot of folds pre-flop in that last tournament. Hopefully we fold. All right. Moving along, moving along, moving along. Raise, defend, and we're leading. This is again the strategy that we're trying to use against this guy is leading a lot. If he's got like 5 high or something, hopefully he just folds, or he'll try and barrel it off. And well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll lead and see what he does. And he folds. If he's got 2 unders, he's just folding. Check raising also an option, but again, this the strategy that we're building is certainly more towards the leads. Queen Jack, raise, call, checks, c-bet, check raise, probably fold. Yeah. All right, next one. Raise, call, check, bet, fold. All right, yep. Wet board, don't want to go too crazy. Not really going to call with ace high. Too many bad turns, yada, yada, yada. 3-bet, probably defend here. I'm looking at his stats right now. He's got 37% 3-bet. That's obviously built up over more hands than we've seen, but Jack 10's probably good enough to call here. I think he's 3-bet us enough. Yeah, this is definitely not standard as well. Pot's 360, risking 240. If I have a hand like if I have a 7 or a 6 here, a lot of times I'll click it back and get people to spew off because they'll just shove 2 overs. Well, my reasoning for doing that sounds like it contradicts the reason I'm doing this. And what I mean by that is, like I said, the reason I click it back when I hit a pair in this situation against somebody who has a frequent 3-bet, like this guy does, is they will just jam over the top with 2 overs. Even if he does that frequently, I don't mind clicking it back here with Jack 10, because in order for him to do that, he needs to risk 1,012. He needs to risk 1120 more to win the pot of 600. So by clicking it back here, I've forced him. The only bluff he can make is 2 times the pot. Also, if he just peels, I can see a turn and reevaluate on the turn. I know I also have 25% to hit by the river. And he just flats. Turn is a 7, which is actually a really, 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 really good card here, because if he has, even if he's slow playing, like, I keep feeling like I'm getting ahead of myself here. Alright, so let's see what he does here. And he checks. Alright, so continuing on that line, I think that this card I'm sitting here thinking about it like I'm actually playing. I don't know if I might, here's what I think. I think with this pot size, I think if I check back here, I can rep a 7. Like, I think it's more plausible to rep a 7 here than it is to bet like 190 and shove the river. And what I mean by that is, I think a lot of times he's just peeling that turn with 2 overs, and it would really suck to bet 190 here or any number and have him jam over the top. Whereas I think if he's just got, like I said, if he's got 2 overs and the river, if he misses the river, I think he's going to bet the river, and I think I can get away with a really good size bluff on the river. Like if he bets 360 on the river and the pot's 1,000, I only risk a pot size bet to take the pot down 360, and I don't think he calls very often unless he hits. Like if he's got 2 over and he hits and he bets and I jam, I think he'll call. But then I've also got my outs as well. So hopefully I don't bet here and I think I'm going to do. This is a line I take a lot because, like I said, I do this. On the flop, I will click it back with a 7 very frequently. That is usually what I have, more frequently than what I have right now. And I will check back in this situation to allow him to bet. River's a 3, and I assume the only reason for me checking back that turn is I'm planning on shoving over a river bet. And that is exactly what I do. I think that is... This is a situation where even if he knows I'm bluffing a frequent percentage of the time, he's only going to have, like... He can't call. Like, he'd have to call me with queen high or something. Now, I don't necessarily think he folds ace high in this spot. I think if he has ace king or ace queen, he calls sometimes. But I think he folds it as well. And I think, I don't know, that's kind of a unique spot. I wish I explained it better. Maybe I'll come back and talk about that later and do an edit. And he folds. And like I said, even if he knows I'm bluffing some percentage of the time there, he just can't. He doesn't. There's no way he has a hand that he can call with. Okay, next hand. Queen 3. He raises, and I'm not feeling adventurous, so I fold. I raise. He calls. He donks. And I peel. I mean, it's a toss. I mean, I could see all 3 options here. I could see flat, I could see fold, I could see raise. I'm a little stationy. I don't like folding on flops, especially when I have a hand like this. King, he pots. I probably fold. Nope, I'm feeling adventurous, aren't I? Well, rather than just say that, let's try and get into my head. What was I thinking at the time? When he pots the turn, he pots flop, he pots turn. The king's a really good card because if he's bluffing, say on the flop he's bluffing with queen jack, and he pots the flop, and I call, and the turn's like a 10, and then he can pot the turn. And if he hits a queen, he can pot the river. Because obviously, if I'm calling here, then I'm considering calling a river bet. Like, he's only got 580 behind, so obviously a river bet would be a shove. Also, it's a very wet board. You could have a lot of flush draws. On the flop, a lot of the reason I probably called was because I had the backdoor nut flush draw, which probably took into account the fact that I have the best hand a lot with ace high, as well as backdoor outs if I get there. When the king comes on the turn, the only thing I can think of, the reason I'm calling is because that's a really good card for him to want to bet and then shove the river. If he's bluffing with 2 random overs and he hits one of them, like 10-9 or something, or well, I mean I have a 10, so not necessarily 10-9. If he has 2 random overs and he hits one on the river now, he might actually check behind. And I'll still get the showdown. So it's like one of those situations where if he checks the river, I think I lose more often than when he shoves the river. And I'm sure I'm totally wrong here because I don't like the way I'm playing this at all. That hits him pretty hard, and he probably shoves, and I decided to play like a fish today, and I probably lose to king 7. So I don't like the way I played that at all. Maybe we'll just cut that one out of the video. I must have been feeling adventurous. Defends Jack 10. Probably a good flop to lead. Nope. Check call, I assume. Yeah. Checks, checks, and we're gonna bet the river, or just hope to win its showdown. I guess I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of that bet. A lot of people will backdoor trip 7s and make that bet because it looks like I'm check calling my whole range. I probably normally would bet the river. I'm not exactly necessarily pleased with how I'm playing this game right now. But that's the whole point I wanted to make this video. I wanted to see myself play some games where I'm making some mistakes and hopefully learn from them, improve on them, and never do them again. Check, check. We're just giving up. Next hand. Okay, raise, defending, check, check. Simple enough. Get 2 streets, call. Alright. Next hand. Queens. What happens with queens? So we just get it in, right? Yep, alright. And he's got 3s. So, alright, that's kind of significant. Let's go back to the beginning of this hand. We're almost 30 bigs deep, and he's 3-bet getting it in with 3s. So and he 3x'd it. So that's pretty significant. I think that's kind of leaky, because if he's 3xing, I don't think I'm coming over the top light too often in 3s. I think that's pretty bad. It's definitely not standard, but okay, what just happened? What does he have? Ace 5. Alright, well that's pretty significant. He limp call. For some reason, just the way this game's playing out, because I'm doing a lot of stuff that I wouldn't ever think that I would necessarily do, even in this situation. This may not be the second tournament I played against him. I may be doing these out of order, and I'm going to assume there's a lot more metagame going on right now. So just in this match, we've established that he's limp calling 20 bigs with Ace 5, which I don't think I'm ever, I mean, even in this, I don't think I'm ever shoving 20 bigs out of position with a range that Ace 5 is ahead of. Ever. So I think that's pretty bad, even if, no matter what kind of metagame's going on. Anyways, I don't want to hang on that too long. Checks. 55. I like betting smaller on these type of flops because it's hard to explain when I have trips, but when I have air, they're less likely to check shove on me and more likely to have to check raise like an awkward amount, or they just call and I get to realize my equity on the turn if I have 2 random cards between a king and a 2. Like if I have 10-9 and they just check call the 55, and then I can bet, like, since their stack size is so small, you can really put a lot of pressure on them on the turn with a very small bet as well. Hypothetically, if I had 10-9 and I bet 55 and they called, and now I got 270 in the pot, I can bet like 90 on the turn, and they're putting such a large percentage of their stack in, and I'm getting a really good price on barrel kind of thing. So I most likely make this bet for consistency's sake. And he's just check shoving on me. Let's see. He's probably got a 2 or a flush draw. 2-9, so he's defending with 2-9. Okay. All right, so this one's over. I'm gonna think about this. I may cut this one out of the training. I'm not sure. I'll have to go over this again and see if it's worth keeping in. Like I said, I'm gonna do a lot of tournaments with this guy and determine one's worth keeping and one's worth saving. But I'm gonna end this one and load up another one now.